So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. I say this each and every week, and this is no different. We have a phenomenal show lined up for you tonight. Mr. Danny Creed is sitting there right now waiting to join, and this is a amazing gentleman who has achieved so much in life, has overcome much, and has been wildly successful in business and in coaching. And I cannot wait to dive into his big, beautiful brain so that you can learn the secrets to success. And that's what this show is all about. This is a show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. And in my now 56 years of life on this planet, actually, the last 10 or so, I began studying just those who had achieved a high level of success. And I wondered what made them tick. Why were they more successful than someone like me? What do they put their shoes on any differently? Their pants? What is different? Why are they more successful? You know, you work hard and you're like figuring out your struggle and what the heck is wrong? Well, what I found out were the patterns started coming up over and over again. I'm talking about mentors that I knew personally, one of which I learned advanced speaking from the stage. I became his lead trainer, spoke from his stage for a couple of years, and just had a blast doing that. And I learned so much from him. I learned from authors, some living, some no longer with us. I've learned from so many people, coaches that I've hired, people that have been on my show, believe it or not. Yes, absolutely. And what I learned were these three patterns kept bubbling to the top, and you might be able to guess what those three are. Yes, they're part of the name of this very show, and that is mind. That means mindset. To a person, each successful person I studied had a very, very powerful and, most importantly, flexible mindset. And then there was body. What really blew my mind was they all took care of themselves. They all took care of themselves physically, from the outside and on the inside. They exercised on a regular basis, and they took care of themselves nutritionally. And then there's business. That's another very powerful pillar of success. And with business, that's multifaceted. With business, these very successful people had mastered the various skill sets that are required to create, build, maintain, and grow a successful business. Things like sales, marketing, team building, systematizing, leadership. I could go on and on. The list goes on a long time. The good news is that no one person has to themselves master every single skill set. One of those that I just mentioned is the key, and that is leadership. Once you have developed the skill set of leadership, you can then delegate, and you can do so masterfully to those who have those skill sets that you have yet to acquire, and you may never acquire because there are so many. It would probably take more than a single lifetime for one person to master them all. And so with that, it is time to move into the next segment, because the beautiful thing about very successful people that I learned and then began modeling is that to a person, they are also very voracious readers. And so with that, I'd like to segue over into a segment I like to call bookmarks affectionately. Here we go.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yes, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. You see that on the side. Now, for those of you watching, for those of you listening on a podcast, stop if you're traveling and take notes as you listen, or hit pause. And same for you watching live. Here's the thing, real quick, while you're watching and listening to the show, there are going to be many resources discussed. I know Danny has many to share, as well as I do, like reachyourpeaklibrary.com. rather than give in to that temptation to click away and go look at these other resources. Instead, I implore of you to just take notes. Remember that thing, that old piece of paper, that parchment called paper, and there's a pen. I've already started. I don't know if you saw that. I've got a lot of notes from our pre-talk before the show started. And just take notes, and then after the show's over, go check out those resources. And here's the reason why. The reason why is the magic always happens in the room. Now, this is a virtual room, and you get that. You understand that. But I would really hate for you to go clicking off somewhere at the very moment that Danny Creed drops that nugget that could change your life forever. And because you went off and you took your mind elsewhere, you may not have even heard it, let alone wrote it down. So please, for yourself, not for me, not for Danny, but for yourself, stay in the room, stay with us. It's an hour-long show, so that means we only have 50 minutes to go. So you're already 10 minutes into it. So here we go. All right, let's have some fun. And Reach Your Peak Library, what is that all about? That is a website I had developed with you in mind, and I really, honestly, am not kidding. You, the entrepreneur, the budding business person, the person looking to get to that next level of success, no matter where you are today. These are all books I personally read and vetted. Only books that had profound impact on me, either in business or personal or both, are in this list. So what that means is not every book I've read made it to this list. Here's another anecdote. I didn't start reading voraciously until the age of 48. That's not that long ago, 8 years ago. And I began reading through Audible and began just consuming everything I could find that I knew would have benefit for me and my business and my personal life. So this is here for you as a gift. ReachYourPeakLibrary.com. Any button you click, that goes straight to Amazon. Grab the book, start reading. If you haven't started reading, do it now. If you are reading and you're ready for that next good read, get on this site, find a book. The first one that jumps off the page, you don't need to look at the entire list. Just grab the first one. Take action. Action takers are rewarded. I say this over and over. That is that. ReachYourPeakLibrary.com. I hope you enjoy that little gift. Speaking of a gift, we got a really huge one. And it comes in the form of a gentleman named Danny Creed. We're going to bring him on right now.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Danny Creed.
Brian, let's have some fun.
Already. So it was so fun talking to you before we even started the show. I mean, you were dropping nuggets, and I kind of jokingly said, okay, that's our show, even though no one saw it. And I'm not kidding. I love what I get to do, Danny, because I get to meet amazing individuals like you. And it was like from the instant we both saw each other on camera, I felt an instant friendship with you, instant connection. And, your energy is awesome. And we're very similar, we're like, let's go get them, action takers. Before I bring you on formally, I want to give you the respect you deserve. I want to mention real quick a couple of things. One is for everyone watching live. You have to be watching this video live on the mindbodybusinessshow.com. You can go on Facebook, YouTube, we're all over. You see the icons above me. When you watch it to the very end, then you can find out how you can win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of our pals up there, the biginsidersecrets.com. That's Jason Nass, my pal, and his crew that have given us this trip to give away every single week. And yes, very soon we will all be free to move about the country and hopefully the world as well. And so definitely stick around to the end. And one final thing, for those of you that might be struggling with putting a show together and it's overwhelming and you want a lot of the processes done for you and still be able to put on a high quality show, connect with great people like I'm doing right now, and grow your business, then head over to Carpet Bomb Marketing. That's over at carpetbombmarketing.com. And you will learn how you can saturate the marketplace with your message. I cannot tell you myself how much this has meant for me and my business and the people I've met. My business has grown immensely as a direct result of Carpet Bomb Marketing. So go ahead and check that out. Now, this is it. The meat happens now and to the end. No more of that. Real world Business coach Danny Creed is an international business and executive coach, trainer, best-selling author, international keynote and workshop speaker, and experienced entrepreneur and business owner. There's a lot of ands in there. That's because he's got a lot. He is a recognized expert in sales and startup business planning. How many of you are thinking about starting a business? There's the guy. He is a business turnaround and marketing specialist with a strong emphasis on business and personal development. I got to tell you, anyone who has crushed it in marketing, that is someone you want to grab onto with both hands on his ankles or her and never let go. I mean, there should be nail marks digging in to his skin because that is a very specialized skill. Danny is a Brian Tracy International Certified Business Coach and Sales Trainer. Coach Dan has logged to date over 15,000 business coaching and training hours. That's a lot. If you want to do the math, go ahead. He has been involved with 15 successful startup businesses and over 400 business turnarounds. Do you think this guy's awesome? I do. Coach Dan is the 6-time recipient of the Focal Point International Brian Tracy Award of Sales Excellence and the 2019 Focal Point Coaching Practice of the Year. Whew. In any available spare time, Dan is a musician. As you can see, some lovely musical instruments over his left shoulder there, the guitars. Maybe we'll get him to play a little tune for us. I don't know. We didn't really check that out beforehand. With that, formally, officially, now, Danny Creed, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Brian. That's great. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's great to be here, by the way.
Oh, goodness sakes. So Danny hails all the way from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm just north of Los Angeles in a little town called Lancaster. So I love that. I love what I get to do. And I get to interview people like you and people all over the world that just have crushed it in business, that have the life lessons, that are willing to share with those who may not have figured it all out. And that's why I have this show. So totally appreciate you being here, Danny. And that bio, my goodness, that was unbelievably impressive, I will say. And
a lot of work went into that.
Yeah, and just talking to you prior to the show, I can tell that every word of that was due to blood, sweat, and tears. That you put in the effort, the time. It takes a lot to become a trainer in anything, and then to become an esteemed and award-winning trainer within such an incredible organization as Brian Tracy's. Wow.
Well, Brian, the whole thing comes down to the reason I've been so blessed with success of my clients and everything is that enough people out there don't honor their past. And what I mean by that is that we all have experiences in our past that we can bring forward and use in the future. But so many people go, oh, this is new, so I don't know about that. Well, that's baloney. That's just BS, because we have experiences in the past that we can bring forward and learn from that. And a lot of those comes from mistakes. A lot of them, so you got to have the nerve to go, okay, I screwed up when I learned from it, right? And so that's real world. That's where the real world thing comes from. Is that there's not a lot of theory in what I do, and people appreciate that in today's world. They just say, "Look, tell me how to deal with this because I don't know how." So, yeah. And that's where shows like yours too to compliment you. That's where shows like this are so important to get that message out.
Yeah, and the thing is I think one word is authenticity, and that's what you exude. I mean, it's coming out of your pores. When I first met you, we go way back, at least, half an hour before the show started. We have known each other for half an hour before we even got on.
It feels like a lot longer, though, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. And that's the thing. It's obvious to me that you walk the walk, you talk the talk, and you walk the walk. There's no doubt in my mind. Oh, and someone here, Travis Lackner from LinkedIn, said, yeah, let's go. Great guest. And he's talking about you, even though he put my name in there.
Hey, Travis.
I think we know him. And he said, yes, amen. Success leaves breadcrumbs. Thanks, amen. Travis, for coming in and participating. And please continue to drop comments for those of you watching live and questions. If you have questions for Danny, bring them on, because that's what we're here to do, is to literally pull out of this amazing brain, what is it that makes Danny Creed so successful? And truly, and I mean this, because your bio is incredible. It gives us a lot of your accolades and experience and things you've been through and where you have gone to, what you've achieved. What I like to do is kind of peel away that curtain and I want to go to the source of what caused all this success. And to me, that source is always that big, beautiful brain sitting in your noggin of my guest expert, Danny Creed. So based on what is going on up there in your wonderful cranium, like when you get up in the morning, every day as an entrepreneur, right? Every day is so freaking easy and problem-free, isn't it? No, that's right. It's meant to be sarcastic. It is filled with challenges every single day, and it's not for the weak. This is not for everyone. But for you, Danny, knowing that those are coming every single day and they nonstop, and the more successful you become, the more problems and issues to be solved that come your way. For you, when you get up, what's going on in that big, beautiful brain of yours that's saying, let's go, another day, I can't wait? What is motivating you day in and day out?
Yeah, that's a great question, because and I share a lot of stories, because the stories come from mistakes I made and success I made. And I had a chance to talk to, I can't reveal his name, I can tell you later, but I've had a good opportunity to meet lots of famous people and highly successful people. And I asked one who runs a $90 billion company, and at one point was one of the largest corporations in the world. And I asked him, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about? What does your mind do? And he goes, there's two things I think. And this was almost 20 years ago now, and I think about it every day. He said, I get up, he goes, every morning when I get up, I go to work trying to have the same mindset as my first day in business. So what is your mindset? I'm going to protect my money. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to not waste any money, and I'm going to make good decisions. Or I'm going to hire good and I'm going to fire quick. And he goes, so I try to have that same mindset every day, even though I'm a $80-90 billion company from the first day. So the second thing I do is when I go to bed every night, I say, you know what, I could be broke tomorrow. So what did I do today to prevent that from happening? And so it's very important to answer your question. I would say, I say a prayer every morning that says, give me a positive mindset today. I have to have a positive mindset, because we're living in one of the most dangerous times in history, as well as one of the most important times in history. I believe this is the greatest time in history to be in business. I really do. And some people say he's nuts, but I'm telling you, it's the greatest time in history to be in business, because if you have I don't want to get off on other subjects, but there's two kinds of mindsets. There's a mindset of survival, and a lot of people have moved into that mode. How you doing today? Oh, I'm getting by. And there's a mindset of thriving, of possibilities. And those people are going, I don't care how bad it is, there's opportunity here. And they're making a difference today, because I was sharing with you before we started today, I'm having the best year I've had in 14 years of doing this. And all of my clients, I'm knock on wood, I'm very proud that all my clients are having record years while others are going broke. And I believe a lot of that comes back to mindset and how you start your day. We were talking, one of the great books of all time is written in 1928, Think and Grow Rich. And Napoleon Hill said back then, and it's a great big thick book. And I can tell you what that means in one sentence. This great big book. What it means, what it's about, is what you think about most of the time, you become. So if you're thinking, always be, the world's coming to an end, the elections are, I got to sit back and see what happens. Or you're going, yeah, okay. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here while everybody else is hiding. So what's the opportunity? And I'm just telling you, when I get up in the morning, I think it's important for me in what I do. And if you're a business owner, an entrepreneur out there, it's important for me to have that positive attitude. I've not lost a client during COVID, and I have kept many of them. And it's a great compliment. They say, look, you're the brightest spotlight that I will see all week. While everybody else is negative, and they turn the TV on as negative, and there's nasty advertising and everything else, I'm coming in with the attitude of, yeah, it may be going on, I understand that, but I know ways to get around it. And they go, wow, let's work. It's the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Double, triple. So that's what I think about.
That's amazing. And I hope, gosh darn, I hope you're taking notes, those of you that are watching and listening. This is the absolute gold. Because, we were talking before the show, Danny, and, one of the things I often like to tell people is your current level of success or lack thereof is 100% all on you. And it's all about what's going on up here.
You're
and
right.
what Danny is saying is absolute truth, because your life is truly what you make of it. You have the decision to decide of, well, am I going to have an attitude of gratitude, or am I going to be pissed off at the world? Am I going to let the circumstances around me control my attitude, or am I going to let my attitude dictate my circumstances like Danny does? What would you rather have? A life of success filled with happiness? Look at this guy. Do you think he's happy? Do you think he's passionate? Do you think he loves getting up in the morning? I think so. Would you rather be like this, or, well, I'm doing okay? I mean, I choose Danny over that any day, all day. I'm amped right now, and I love what I get to do, because I have so many amazing people come on this show, and I love to just sit back and listen and learn, because repetition is the key to mastery. It truly is. It's practice. Your brain is a muscle. You got to practice and continue. Speaking of a brain being a muscle, I'm gonna guess that I'll let you say. Would you consider yourself to be one of those avid readers?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's imperative. That's imperative. I mean, and I learned that long ago, but I also, my mentor has been Brian Tracy, and I've had the privilege of spending time with Brian, and I've been in his, personal library, and this man reads more. I mean, the great success minds read all the time. He'll read 4 or 5 newspapers a day and books and everything else. And I have, I love the old, I have a sign in my library, which is next door here, that it says, I buy books with the hopes I have time to read them. So I have a whole bunch of books, and I have a whole shelf over here of books I bought that are in line. But I think it's imperative. It's the Oriental example of Kaizen, continuous and never-ending improvement. The psychologists have proven that you never get too old to learn. What happens is you shut it off personally. So you've got the opportunity to learn forever. And one of the things that I stress, and I appreciate what you've said, is that we have to continue learning, because it's the old line of I've had a guy go, well, I'm not going to go to that training because I've been in business 30 years. And I'll say, have you been in business 30 years or 1 year 30 times?
I love it.
And if that's the case, you better pick up a book, brother, and you can do it at any time. So yes, I love to read.
Yeah, I learned a great similar concept from my mentor, and we would train this from stage, and we would say, look, we're not here to teach you anything you haven't already heard of or seen. Yeah. We just found a way to put those pieces together in such a manner that has brought us immense success. Now, there's 3 words that you could utter that many of us do. We're all human, but if you utter them either out loud or to yourself inwardly, you will shut off your brain from learning, period. And those 3 words are, I know that.
People like that. I know that. Yeah. I know that, Brian.
And the cool thing is, look, everyone does know a lot of things. They have a lot of experience. And so the simple way to get over that trap is to simply follow it. First step is be aware that it happened. Oh, I just said it. The second one is to do something about it to rectify the situation. In this case, you just say, I know that, and I wonder what else I can learn.
There you go.
And that's it. So you can give yourself credit for knowing that, and your ego still feels good, but you can also reopen your mind back up to learning, because again, repetition is the key to mastery. Even if you've seen it, done it multiple times. Michael Jordan, how many times do these people take the same shot practicing over and over and over and over, and they still miss on occasion, don't they? So what makes you any better not to practice and repeat and say, oh, I know that. Okay, I gotta get off my soapbox. I'm getting into it now. Like I'm on stage.
But Brian, that's the thing that you can control, though. It's like I said, the mindset. They teach it in 12-step programs, and that every business owner should go through a 12-step program, because one of the steps in there is, look, if you're hanging with negative people, you got to change your friends. It's the same in business and being an entrepreneur. I'm telling you, the success, the key to being an entrepreneur, one of the major ones, is that you've got to believe in what your idea is, what your project is, more than anybody on earth. That the people who love you the most may be going, yeah, I love you, but are you sure about this? You've got to be saying, absolutely. It sometimes will come back you to being the only person that believes in this, but you better darn well believe in it, because a banker's not going to believe you, an investor's not going to believe you, your friends won't believe you, board of directors won't believe you, your staff won't. You talk about leadership, your staff won't believe you unless you believe it, and you can look people in the eye. So if you've got friends that bitch and moan and gripe all the time about what elections and the government and the COVID and all this, you need to ditch your friends and go find some new ones, because it will have an effect up here, and that's something you have control over, of what you hear. And personally, I haven't watched the local news in 10 years. Not because I don't want to be informed. I do. I look at news online of what I want to read, but I just don't need all the negativity tied to it.
Yeah.
Because if anybody on earth, my people pay a lot of money for me to be a positive influence for them and me to be believable. If we need to talk negative, it's constructive.
Yeah.
Versus negative. But the last thing they want is to hire a business coach that comes in and goes, yeah, you're right, things do suck. That's not what they want.
I love that, that you need to believe in your business more than anyone else. It is so true. I mean, family can be the worst. They can be the hardest. I mean, I'm not going to point out any family member of mine, but one would say, so how's that business of yours going? And, always with arms crossed and waiting for the negative response to something. I said, well, I'm still working on it. Oh, so are you making a lot of money on it? Not yet, but I'm working on it. Oh, well, I wish you the best. And they don't mean it. They don't mean it at all. I'm like, they're just like, oh, I'm glad to see you're still down there, and they love you, right? They love you. They want the best for you. But I think secretly they're like cool with the fact that you're not crushing it yet. I don't know why. Why is family harder? They just seem to be.
But sometimes your good friends who say that, oh, I love you and everything else, they may be afraid that if you do succeed, you'll make them look bad for being down here. So that's why it has to be here, and you have to cut out all the noise, and you have to believe. Doesn't mean you have to also be flexible, being willing to change, but you've got to believe in it more than anything.
Yeah.
And if you don't waste your money, don't waste your time, don't do it, but you have to believe in it. And you can see that. I mean, it's always a great compliment when somebody says, man, you're passionate about this, aren't you? I mean, that makes me feel good, because that means that I really believe, Brian, that the number one thing that anybody can sell to someone else is in today's world is hope.
Mm.
As a coach, one of the things I'm selling all the time is hope. I want to sell you, Brian, the hope that I might be able to help you grow your business, the hope that I might be able to save your business, the hope that I might be straight with you and shoot straight, and that I've got the experience to help you get to the next level that you're stuck at. We don't spend enough time selling hope. We spend a lot of time telling, let me tell you all the reasons why you ought to hire me. But nobody is saying, let me understand what you need. And then I want to sell you hope that I can help you with that. And that's the missing element in a lot of marketing, in a lot of most sales pitches. I mean, the lost art in American business today, world business today, and I have clients in Poland and other places, the lost art in business today is they are listening. Nobody listens to anybody anymore. And you can be extremely successful being known as somebody that listens.
I'm sorry, what'd you just say? I'm kidding, totally.
I knew it was coming. Both. No, but it's true. And
yes.
And when I had somebody stop me in a meeting the other day and go, wait a minute. I go, what? And they go, you really do try to listen, don't you? And I go, I try. But it makes a big difference. It's a differentiator today. So who's ever listening to this thing, remember, shut up and listen. Ask some questions. Shut up and listen.
One of the ways to prove to yourself, not you, Danny, but in general, the people listening, that you are listening is if you're taking notes. If you're writing, you're not talking. You're thinking about what you're writing. and you're listening and absorbing, and you're getting it at a deeper level, especially if you're writing it with your hand instead of typing it. But either way, it's fine.
And you're showing respect.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Danny, could you imagine every time you gave advice and you're watching somebody and they're like, hold on a second, writing it down? Oh, that is like the greatest thing as a coach or a mentor, to see someone actually write it down. Like, good, you're going to get this at a deep level. This is good for you. It's not for my ego, but it makes me feel good that this is going to have great impact for you.
In turn, I had a guy a few weeks ago, which I actually fired. While I was helping him with an answer that he'd get, he does this. Yeah. He's checking his email. I'm listening, coach.
Yeah, right.
People just don't get it. The effect that this can have. But the power of listening is a differentiator today. And if you learn this, I mean, success isn't hard if you apply the basics. Zig Ziglar taught me that. He used to say, look, the similarities of a 40-story building and a 3-bedroom house is that without a strong foundation, they'll both fall over. And it's the same with building a business. You've got to master the basics. Brian Tracy calls it the recipe for success. And they go as far as to say that this recipe is about 13 things. But this foundational recipe is the same for all businesses, no matter what it is, where it's at, or what the economic conditions are. So when I work with, whether it's a $1 billion company or a startup, the first thing I do is, okay, let's look at our foundation. And the foundation is things like clarity of business. And that includes, I've got like an 80-question checklist, but clarity of business, priority management, time management, written goals. All these things are tied to that. And I'll upset them sometimes, particularly bigger companies. But I'll go, look, our biggest gains are usually found in where we're screwing off, where we're blowing off here, and it's really true. And that's where my practice is based, is that I'll come in and we'll build from the foundation. And I mark this, anybody who's listening, there is no app out there that's be all, solve all. Get your foundation solid and then go look for the apps, but don't look for the miracle app before you're solid on everything else. That's my sermon. Thank you for contending. Yeah.
I mean, get solid on it. And then before you go get that app built, make sure that there's a marketplace that wants the damn app before you go spending all that time. The very thing I just finished, it's called Carpet Bomb Marketing. 1.5 years it took me to build that. 1.5 years after probably a decade of experience in the field, but 1.5 years to put it together, because I won't do it unless it's quality. My name won't be next to it. But I'll tell you, that was a struggle. And you just got to stick with it. And the only reason I did it, Danny, this is the last thing on the planet I wanted to do. I did not want to do this because there's so much tech involved in every step of the process, that I know that tech is always changing, moving, evolving, ebbing and flowing. And I'm one person with no tech team right now to help. And I said, the only way I'm going to do this is when I bring on a team. And the only reason I did it, Danny, was after the show, time and time again, people like you, guest experts, would say, Brian, can you show me how to do what you do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've trained this from stage so many times. Listen to the marketplace. And I'm just dreading it as I'm listening to them, but I don't want to do this, right? And then I realized, you know what? All I need is a great team, and I'll be fine, and I can scale it. And I finally just said yes. And literally 2 days ago, actually it was yesterday, I posted, it was officially completed. 1.5 years. I would not have done that had I not gotten such a high percentage of people saying, I want what you have. There's no way. So I was kind of the opposite. I backed into this one. It's not like, ooh, look at this cool thing. I think people will like this, which is what most people do. And then they flounder for 6 months to a year and not make one sale because no one else wants it.
And how do you feel?
I feel freaking awesome. Oh, and so there's the other thing. It took 1.5 years to build it. And I told everybody I knew, my wife, my colleagues, and my friends, my entrepreneur friends, I said, that isn't the end of it. That's when the work starts. Now it's time to market this puppy and get it out there and start getting on other podcasts and shows and promoting. It's just begun, but it's like shifting gears, and it's a whole new path. I'm so relieved that I'm out of that path and into another one. Yeah, it feels phenomenal, my brother. Oh,
And good for you. It looks great too. I've looked at what you've sent out, and it's fabulous.
thank you so much. I'm not here to pitch that. In fact, I want to pitch you more than anything. There's a little birdie that told me, we were talking about reading a little bit ago, that a little birdie, I think the name of the bird was Danny Creed, said that they had written a few books.
Yeah.
Would you mind throwing those up on the screen real quick and maybe give one or two a shout out?
If you don't mind, I'd have 3 this year that
Please.
we published. One is that's really done very well. It's called Champions Never Make Cold Calls. These are all available on Amazon. It's called Champion Never Make Cold Calls. This is a system I put together about 35 years ago for some of my early startups. And when I went in the coaching business 14 years ago, I customized it to coaching, and I've taught it all over the world. It's really simple. It's based on old techniques, but I just formalized it. And it's based on the idea that who do you know? Let's identify who you know that knows people you need to know. And then there's a specific way to work that. And the end result of this system is that I have, in 12 years, in 13 years, I've never made a cold call. And in 12 years, 100% of my new clients came from referrals, 100%. And I've been very blessed and successful in that. And so everything's in here. That's scripts and everything. The other one I published is called Thriving in Business. It's about a couple of hundred very street fighting oriented business blogs that talks about everything to do with business, and it's very good. It's done pretty well. And the newest one came out about 3 weeks ago. It's a collaborative book that I was asked to do. It was created by Eric Severson, and I did it with a number of other authors. And this has already become an international bestseller, and it's in the Library of Congress. And then the other one that's done really well is kind of a story of something that happened to me 4 years ago. It's called Life Best Lived, and it's done very well. And I'm really blessed with some of the groups and organizations that have picked up on this. And its idea, Brian, is that through a situation that I went through, I realized that most of us sat around waiting for somebody to give us a second chance, when everybody has the ability to give themselves a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. And if you're an entrepreneur or you're in prison, I now work with a prison ministry just with this book, which is very, very, very rewarding. But if you're out there struggling and stumbling along, going, oh my gosh, I wish, things were better. Well, look, shut up. You've got the ability to give yourself that second and third and fourth chance. Which all it means is you've got to give yourself permission to make mistakes and learn from them and grow from them. So thanks for letting me show you that. But I'm really proud of these books.
I love, there's so many things I loved about what you said throughout that whole thing. One is, what I caught on was you kept saying it's very well put together. It's very well done, these books. And I'm thinking, you wrote them. And I love that you are that proud of them. This is not bragging, ladies and gentlemen. This is confidence in knowing that what he put together is going to have impact, not because he thinks it will, but he already knows it has, because they're selling, they're bestsellers, and he's using one in prisons and seeing the results. So don't look at that as someone bragging. This is someone, I'm like, yes, lift him higher. Let's get the word out about this. If it's having that kind of positive impact, it needs to be told from the highest rooftops and peaks of mountains, so that other people can actually take advantage and learn from someone like Danny, who has had such great experience in his life. He's had his upset, he's had his downs, he's learned from every bit of them. And, why not learn and model someone else rather than try to recreate the wheel and invent success on your own? That's one thing I learned too late. I shouldn't say too late, but later in life than I wanted to, was that all I had to do was model. I was like, this ego was saying, you can do it, Brian. You can do everything. Well, guess what? You all can do it yourself. Just how many years do you have to get it done? Do you want to get it done in 20 to 30 years, or how about 5, and just model somebody else that is successful, that can show you the way to get there much quicker? All you have to do is follow and work, get the work done. Go ahead, Danny.
Can I share a quick story?
Please.
The Life Best Lived was picked up by a particularly major prison here in the United States. And I went back and have done presentations to the prisoners on business and such. And I did the last one I did was in maximum security, and
Wow.
they're in a program called Brothers in Blue, which has the best recidivism rate in the world. I mean, the average recidivism rate in America is 75%, and this program has 11% recidivism, which is people coming back. But I was in maximum security. I had about 32 men in the program. I keep a picture of them over here. And I was with them all day, maximum security. So there were people in my class that were in a life sentence. And then when we finished the course, the class, I said, look, if I can come back, what would you want the topic to be? Now, this is important. I said, what would you want the topic to be? And if we were in a group, I would ask people, what do you think they said? But here's what they said. And I get very emotional about this. They said, our topic that we've decided that we want you to talk about next time you come in is goal setting.
Wow.
Now, I'm telling you, you got guys in prison, locked away in tough situations, and they still have dreams. They still want to better themselves. They want to set goals. And some of them in there on a life sentence. I talked to one of them today on the telephone, and we're putting together a business plan for his life. You know, I'm telling you, if you should be ashamed for anybody listening to this, if you don't sit down and think about your goals and what's moving forward and where your future is going. Because I've got guys in prison that do, and they're working on it, and they want more. They want more of this knowledge of how to improve themselves and make a second chance. I asked one of them, I said, why would you say that? And he goes, look, I can either be a knucklehead and get in trouble and play checkers all day, or I can do something to change the world. One man at a time. So look, I mean, in all the concept that Brian is talking about and I'm talking about is all of us are capable of. You don't have to be a genius. You have to change once, like we were talking, you have to change this 8 inches here. You have to change everything. See, and what you think about most of the time, you become. So what are you thinking about? Because if it's, I'm happy with my situation living in a single wide trailer house back in the woods, you know, well, fine. You know, have you ever looked at that research of what lottery winners? It's like 80% of them within 5 years are back in a dump.
Self-sabotage, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so we have the ability to change anything and achieve anything. And I'm not just a big rah-rah here. I'm telling you, you know, I don't know whether some of you know this, but 70% of our society has no goals. It's estimated that 28% says they have goals, but they're not written. That 2% of our society has written goals. And there was a research done by a group called Oxfam, I believe. It came out in USA Today in January that said that 2%, the 2% wealthiest control like 97% of all income in the world, all wealth in the world. And isn't it amazing that there's 2% of the world that has written goals? That's one of the things I make every client of mine do is I work them through a program. And sometimes it takes 6 or 8 weeks, but we work through a program. And sometimes, Brian, I teach them how to dream again. You'd be amazed. CEOs, successful men and women, entrepreneurs in particular, forgot how to dream. We've got to learn to dream. So anyway, thank you for letting me get off on that, but it's really important, and it's amazing. The other thing is it's amazing how you feel can sometimes be the pebble in the pond, can sometimes reach millions of people just by affecting one person. So some of that's your attitude.
There's so many wonderful things. Those prisoners and everyone that you've touched are blessed to know you, number one. I include myself now in that mix, loving every second of this and how you are sharing. You're sharing your gifts with with my gosh, prisoners of all that's like taking it to the farthest of the farthest extremes, especially in maximum security, where there's probably very little hope. And you're giving that hope, which is phenomenal. You talked about you don't have to be genius, right? And I love that because it is all up here. It doesn't mean it's the smarts that are up here. It's what you are thinking. Are they positive? Are they empowering thoughts? Are they negative and they tearing you down? Here's the thing I learned. I went to school. I went to school. I went to high school. I had near 4.0, which back in the day, that was the max you can get. Now you can get more than 4.0 if you didn't know that. That was crazy. And I was one of those brainiac kind of guys that's all I wanted to do was just crush it in academia. And I went to college, got my degree, and then I watched as this guy next to me didn't do any of that, and he was far more successful than I was. And I thought, what is up with that? Well, it wasn't about the resources that I had accumulated, the knowledge. It was about the resourcefulness of that person and how he was able to figure things out and think out of the box. When you go to school, you're kind of, I hate to say this out loud, but you're kind of being brainwashed in a way in following a certain system that doesn't work if you want to get out of the system.
Yeah. Well, I think Eleanor Roosevelt said this, but I quote it all the time. They said the world is full of educated derelicts. that knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge is power, and that's where I'm at. I didn't get to finish college. My father died. I was raised on a farm. So everything I've learned is, I live by. I think it was Jack Welch or somebody worked on this principle, but I teach this all the time, that there is no mistakes in the world as long as you learn something from it. So I have a 4-step process. Mm-hmm. Step 1 is what happened. Be very clear and honest of what happened, not sugarcoat it, not blaming. What happened? Number 2, why did it happen? Okay, what went wrong? What went right? What happened? Why did it happen? Number 3 is how will it never happen again? So you come up with a solution. And then number 4 is turn your hand, wave it goodbye. You don't worry about it anymore. That you've learned something from it. And that's my rule. But so many people don't learn from any mistakes, and it's really, really important that we don't hone in on, there's some research that says there's billions of dollars spent every year by corporations when something disaster happens, that they say, let's stop everything, form a committee, and decide who we're going to blame. Where the entrepreneurs, and understand an entrepreneur can be a startup or a $90 billion company. The entrepreneurs will go, what happened? Why did it happen? How will it never happen again? See you later. Move on.
Yep.
Well, they're flying past these old companies who only think about, let's stop and see who we can blame.
Yes.
So if you're an entrepreneur starting a company, again, don't waste time blaming people and kicking their rear ends. Sam Walton, who founded Walmart, was famous for managing by wandering around. And his attitude, NBWA on his hat. I met him once. But the whole concept was he says that was one of the concepts that made Walmart so great. And what NBWA is about, managers finding employees doing something right versus finding them screwing up.
Amen.
And I've implemented this, and I've taught people this. That's for some reason it's not taught anywhere. But I'm telling you, if you have an attitude of, as you said it earlier, attitude of gratitude. If you have this, and people see the boss coming, they go, "Come here, boss. Let me show you what I'm doing."
You don't see that.
Everything changes. Everything changes.
Man.
But so many people go, "Oh, here comes the boss." I'm going to hide. I'm going to crawl under my desk. Yep. And I'm telling you that if you have that kind of attitude, then people are entrepreneurial. They're not afraid to make a mistake.
That's right. I love it. Hey, we got a good friend of mine, Ken Wentworth, has come on, Mr. Biz. He's going to be on the show again coming up soon. He agrees with that 2% comment. Yes, Harvard Business Review published a similar study. The 3% that have goals and write them down are 30 times more likely to accomplish goals versus those that have no goals. Super powerful. Thank you for your impact. Look at that. You're causing waves of beautifulness right there. And then he said, educated derelicts. He loved that comment. That was phenomenal as well. And so, yeah, everything you're talking about, oh my gosh, this is in such value alignment with me about, I call it positive reinforcement versus fear-based leadership. And so, look, people are going to make mistakes, and there are times when people will need to be disciplined. But if you have cultivated a culture of positive reinforcement,
Yeah.
Those times will be so far and few between. And before you get to that point, how are you vetting the people you're bringing into your team? That's very important as well, because that will dictate right off the shoot how well your team does as a whole. How well are you, what are you doing? What is your process for onboarding a new employee, a new team member? Are you making sure that they have the values that are commensurate with your team, with your culture, with you, the owner? Because it all starts at the top. Everybody does what they see at the top. And when you have a guy or a gal walking around and saying, "Hey, you're doing a great job," oh man, I've been in corporate. I've never seen that. And if it had, oh my gosh, I could just imagine the massive increase in success any business could have by just taking that one tip you gave, Danny, and implemented it. Power.
Well, it's a mental thing too. And throughout all the startups that I was involved with, there were times where I was concerned about something, thinking about something, and I was looking at my phone, and I'd walk into the office and go in my office. I guarantee you within 5 minutes, somebody was there going, "What's wrong, boss? Everything okay? Is the company for sale? Did the stock drop?" I'm telling you, people base everybody that they perceive as a leader, they will base, because again, 70% of our society are of a personality profile that look to others for how they're going to react, how they act, what their emotions are going to be, what their feelings are going to be. So if you and I think it's even worse now with COVID. I believe it's about 90% of everybody is over here going, "I don't know what to do. I'm scared to death." So I'm going to look to that person for how I feel in my direction. So if you're a leader, no matter what you're doing, if you're a leader of any kind of entrepreneur, owner, you better dang well have an attitude that is, we're going to kill the world. We're going to win no matter what. I love the line, again, it's Sam Walton quote, I believe, that he was asked, this was a year before he passed, I think, in the 80s. He was asked in a press conference one time, famously, he was asked, "So how has this affected Walmart?" And he famously said something to the effect of, "Well, it hasn't." And they said, "Well, how has it not?" He goes, "We chose not to participate."
Yes.
That's the epitome of mindset. Let everybody else go in hiding. Let everybody else pull their head in the shell. Let everybody else sit on the fence. I actually did a research piece where, I picked the most outlandish niche in the world. And I said, look, and every time you'd call into that niche to say, who else in this niche, who's dominating? "Oh, there's Bob over there. He's dominating." And so I'd call Bob up and I'd say, "Bob, how can you dominate, when there's 10 other competitors?" He goes, "Well, I just figured there's nothing I can do about what's going on in the economy and things. So, but yet all my competitors' customers, while they're in hiding, they're looking for somewhere to spend their money. So I just said, come on down, I'll take it." He just chose not to participate with what was going on. And by the time anything changed, the economy changed or whatever changed, Bob had so much new market share. He didn't have any competitors anymore in some cases. So it's back to this, and it's back to this. How do you get up in the morning? Where we started today. What is your mindset when you get up this morning? I actually, I had another book. It's called Bootstrap Business. I wrote with Jack Canfield and Tom Hopkins. And I had an interview in there, and I asked the guy I said, "Do you have goals?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "What is it?" "Oh, I think about these goals." And I won't. But he talked for 15 minutes about how he lives these goals. And he thinks about them going to work, and he goes to work, and he thinks about them, and da 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 da. And I go, "What is this goal?" He goes, "Every day I get up and I say, today I'm going to break even." And I said, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, that's my goal, to break even." And I'm going, so is that survival thinking, or is that thriving possibility thinking? Well, of course it's survival thinking. This guy's going to work every day with the hopes to break even.
Oh my gosh.
And you'd be amazed, in my world anyway, you'd be amazed how often I hear something like that.
Wow.
So it's the difference. It's as simple as the difference in success many times is up here. How much are you reading? Back to what we were talking about. How much are you reading? How positive are you? How much do you let other things affect you? Friends affect you? How clear are your goals? How focused are you on what you want? Do you allow yourself to dream? I work with a lot of executives in big corporations, And I'm telling you, the one thing missing in most of their lives is they forgot how to dream.
Mm.
They go to work. I know I worked with a guy that had a $2 billion budget. He worked for a big company, and that was his whole life. And he lost his family. He lost everything because that was his only goal. He had no dreams. So we spent about 2 months working on that. And once he got the dreams back, he goes, huh. And he's doing even better now in business. But he has, see, I don't believe there's a work-life balance. Everybody talks about work-life. I think in today's world, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, it has to be this.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to make them work together and be happy with it.
Yeah.
And that's the key. So everything you've talked about today and asked me about, it's pretty basic, isn't it? You know, it's really basic, but that's the hard part. People don't believe that basic, simple, foundational works anymore because we're an app society. But I'm telling you, master the basics and then add the apps.
I want to ask you very point blank. I know there are going to be many people that are going to be going, okay, how do I get in touch with Danny and how can he help me with my business? And I want to find out, I'm very curious, what is it you do specifically and what is your target market? Like what is your ideal client? Now, is it an entrepreneur or a solopreneur? Is it a medium-sized business or small-sized business, or is it large corporations or all of the above? Because prisoners I see are involved. What is it? And give us a little taste of what it is you do and the impact you've had with other businesses so far.
Yes. I am a business coach. There's a lot of different, and I won't get off on my soapbox because it seems like today everybody and their uncle just decides to call themselves a coach. but I am a business coach. And I liked it. When I first started, I worked with a lot of startups and people that were struggling. I found my sweet spot, though, to be with people who have established a business and they've taken it to a point where they feel that they're successful, but they're at a point they can't get over the hump. They can't get to the next level. And it turns out I'm pretty good at helping them get to that next level and beyond. So I like to work with people that are entrepreneurs, that are startups, but yet I've had a lot of success working with big corporations. I work anywhere 2 billion to multi-billion, working with the executives within those organizations and helping them master other basics than just hitting numbers. So I guess again, I like to work with people that have been doing it a while, but they just know they're stuck someplace. Mm. And we've, I know one of the questions that we had discussed is, what's one of the more satisfying successes? And I can tell you a story that I work with a company that here in the Valley that had just lost track of what they were doing. They were down to about $1 million in revenue and going south. And I stepped in and helped them work on the foundation. And in 3.5 years, we broke $43 million in annual revenue. Now, the reason that's so exciting is that they had over 100 employees that had over 1,000 dependents, that had over 300 vendors. And if that company would have went broke, everybody would have lost their job. But we did so well so fast that this company started funding all the 401ks for people. They didn't have to put anything into it. I asked them one time what the impact of our work together was, and they said, you helped us change our family tree. Mm. And I'm telling you, that's why I'm one of the few people, and I hope there's more, but I just love what I'm doing so much. I hope I'm doing this when I'm 100 years old, if I make it that far, because I love what I'm doing. And I think whatever you're doing, the listener out there, whatever you're doing, I hope you love it, because if you don't, quit, get out of it and go find something you do love. Because life's way too short to wait for the gold watch. It's way too short. Believe me. We were talking about beforehand. This book is about 4 years ago. I was going to a speech in Canada and I wasn't feeling good. I went in the hospital just to be checked out, and they told me I had 48 hours or less to live. Now, when I talk to people, I ask them, I said, so, what would you do if you were told that? What's your priorities? And if they say anything other than to call some people I know that I love and tell them that, they're screwed up. So get it right now and do what you love and go out and put your passion into it, and you'll attract people from everywhere.
Fantastic words of wisdom, words of gold. I've got writer's cramp, so I don't ask anybody to do anything that I myself am not willing to do. And
Thank
so
you.
just to show some proof there, and yep, it's in my hand, and that's why I love to switch it to solo view of you. Then I can start writing like a madman, and it won't be distracting to everybody watching and listening to this amazing man, Danny Creed. My gosh, incredible stuff. I want to bring up your site on the screen here real quickly to show people what is the best way to get in touch with you. And by the way, we still have that giveaway, and a little birdie told me that this gentleman who's now beneath me has something for you as well. Was it in the form of a 60-minute coaching session? Is that still a valid thing there, Danny? Yep.
Yes, sir. My website is realworldbusinesscoach.com. If you go to that site, there's a place where you can write me a note. That's easier than giving you an email. Go to the website, write me a note, and I'll be glad to talk to you, respond to you, help you. And part of the offer is, and I say if you qualify, only from the standpoint that I'd like you to have a business that you work with. But I always try to do anybody that requests it, try to do an hour complimentary coaching session. It's not a pitch at all. It's not a sales pitch. It's a pure coaching session. And then if you want to talk to me more later, that's okay. But if I can help you a little bit, fit into my schedule, if I can help you a little bit, maybe with your businesses, sometimes, like you said earlier, Brian, it just takes one thought, to change a business. So yeah. I'd be glad to offer that to your viewers, as the availabilities are there. So that'd be great. I'll look forward to hearing from some of you.
And to do that, do they just shoot you an email?
Just go through the website, and there's a place to send me a note, and just do it that way. Or if you want to send me an email, it's dcreed, DCREED at focalpointcoaching.com. I'd be open to that as well. Thank you.
Let me put that up to make it a little easier. So dcreed at focalpointcoaching.com. And if you're on his website, where specifically do they drop you a note, just so I can show the folks?
There should be a contact. Yeah.
Right there, upper right. You just click on that and fill out this form and say, just drop him a note and say, hey, I saw you on the Mind Body Business Show, and I know he will treat you well, because, boy, he's treated me well. I'll tell you.
Yeah, thank you. It's real
before the show, he was giving me a back massage, and it was awesome. All the way from Phoenix. So here's the other thing. It's okay to have fun. It is okay. It is imperative to have fun in your business, but be sure, in all seriousness, to reach out to him for this incredible gift. I mean, come on, 60 minutes of his time. I can't imagine what you normally charge an hour for coaching, given the fact that you're working with billion-dollar businesses. So don't take this lightly. And also, what I like to point out to anyone who does, and everyone who does take advantage of this, is do so respectfully. Respect his time. Know that he's setting aside his time to give you value for nothing, and no pitch involved. Not, hey, okay, now let's go figure out how we can work together, and I can sap you dry of all your cash, and so you can pay me to be a coach. That's not what he's doing. And you can tell that. If you have seen any part of this show, you can tell this is a man of integrity, of great character, and immense value for you. And so I could vet him right now. I've known him for now an hour and 4 minutes. And these are these are other things that, Danny, that, I mean, we could go on forever. We could literally go on forever. But one of the other attributes of very successful people is their ability to judge character very, very quickly, to recognize, and know quickly, is that a person I want to consider bringing on, working with, hiring as a coach, you name it. That's another trait or a skill set that I would recommend folks develop. And if they don't have it and aren't there yet, find somebody who is, to say, hey, what do you think of this one?
I actually teach that. I customize every lesson with every customer plan, but with the exception of the first two, in which I teach a cool technique of time management, priority management. And the second thing is I teach personality profiling, and it works. It took me 30 years to learn how to teach it in an hour, but it's really important. It's really important being able to read people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a bad read, if that becomes a hire, a bad hire can cost you tens of thousands, if not more, depending on what you're paying them, but far more than you would imagine for so many different reasons. And so, yeah, it's very important to have all these things. Look, it sounds like a fire hose, like, oh, I got to know all these skill sets. I'll never be successful. Look, you do it like an elephant and like how you would eat an elephant, one bite at a time, but you do so with direction from someone who can take you through those steps. Will it take time? Yes. Yes. Nothing's instant. There is no instant gratification. A lotto ticket, even if you win that, the percentage, you heard Danny, the odds are you're going to self-sabotage and blow it all anyway. You know, because Johnny and Grandma, Sue and everybody else wants a piece, and you start buying cars and houses, and all of a sudden it's all gone. And you didn't invest. There's so many things, but I think everything Danny has said, it starts up here in your brain. He said this how many times tonight? Many. Do you think that might be a secret to success? It's not even a secret. It's out everywhere. But a lot of people just don't seem to put a priority in developing and improving their own mindset. And there are great tools and techniques for doing that. One way would be get connected with this gentleman because he's done it and he teaches it. He preaches it. You can tell. Look at him. I mean, he won't stop smiling. And how would you like to have a life of passion, of joy, of being able to help people and feel so fulfilled like this man? So all you have to do is model success. And sometimes that means getting them into your life. It's rare that you have access to somebody like this. I will tell you that right now. It is rare. He just opened the door. I'm spending some time on this for a reason because it is that important. Definitely reach out, connect with Danny. If you're an entrepreneur, if you've gotten stuck, if you got a business and you've been working at it and you're legit, you're not just a entrepreneur. It's not a hobby. You're not going to waste his time. You know, if you're at that point, work and put in 6 months, a year, 2 years, get to the point where, okay, now I know I need help from Danny Creed because now you're ready. If you're stuck after that much, just reach out to him. My God, take advantage of this offer. Okay, I'm going to stop there. If you don't do it and you heard this and I find out about it, oh, man, no, I'm kidding. Seriously, though, please do take him up on this offer. And speaking of offers, oh, my gosh, we're already past our hour. This one blew right by. Oh, that's never happened. This is awesome. So I always have one question I like to leave with. Danny, if you have a few more minutes left.
Sure. I'm yours.
It's an incredibly powerful question. I ask every guest expert at the end. And I'm just blown away by the answers. They just have really been impactful for me personally and very interesting. And the cool thing is it's also personal. It's got a little bit of everything. But right before we go to that, I did promise also that those that stayed with us live to the end could win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Compliments of the Big Insider Secrets. You see them up there. And at this point, there you go. It's like the Brady Bunch, you know, or the Partridge Family. We're all looking at each other. I think it's the Brady Bunch. Yeah. You now have our permission to take your gaze away from the screen ever so shortly to pull out your smartphone, because to enter to win, you simply follow these instructions. You bring up your messaging app, your text messaging app, and where you would normally type in the name of the person you're going to send the text to, instead type in this phone number. It's 314-665-1767. I think Danny's entering right now as well. You should do the same. It's again 314-665-1767. And then when you want to type the message, you know, that area where you would put in emojis and things like that. No emojis necessary. Please don't put any in there. Instead, type the words peak, that's PEAK, dash or hyphen if you prefer, vacation. Peak dash vacation. Send that off and then watch for responses and just answer the questions. You're going to be asked for your email address so we can officially enter you into this incredible prize. It's an automated system that will take you by the hand. Do not worry. Your information is safe with us. You are never sold to anyone else. And again, this is sponsored by our wonderful friends, Jason Nast and his crew at the BigInsiderSecrets.com. Do that now, quickly. Finish it now, right away, because the man, the myth, the legend, Danny Creed, is back in the house. And it's time for that incredible, earth-shattering question. Now, here's the thing, Danny, it's kind of a build up there, and that's for a reason. But I just want to I know that you're a vet of being on radio and television, and you've been interviewed, and you're an interviewer of many years. And so this isn't going to phase you at all. But just in case, I just want to let you know that when it comes to this question, there is no such thing as a wrong answer.
Good.
It doesn't exist. I love that. Good.
Good.
In fact, what I like to say, the opposite is true. The only correct answer is yours.
Okay.
Because that's the personal part of it. That's it. So it's not like digging into your personal life or anything like that. And that's it. It's and some take some time. They think about it. Guest speakers that I've had in the past, that's fine. Some get it right away. Whatever it is for you is perfect because it is yours. It's all about you and your interpretation of it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
With all that wonderful buildup? Here we go. Danny Creed.
Yes.
How do you define success?
Oh, good. I define that as maintaining a positive attitude, and that's at work. That's effort every day, because that translates then into my goal of creating positive change in just one person. If I can create a positive change in one person, then it spreads like a tsunami. It's like the pebble in the pond concept again that I mentioned earlier. If I can create, when I'm speaking in front of large groups of people, I hope that I affect one person that will go and then tell 2, that will then tell 10, that will tell more. So success for me is, when my eulogy is given, that they don't say, yeah, he was a real jerk, that they say, this guy helped people one at a time, and he helped large groups, and then it spread, and my legacy is somebody that's always willing to help. And now to achieve that, just rewind the last hour. I have to keep a positive attitude. I have to achieve that. I have to read. To achieve that, I have to sell hope. So my definition of success in that before they drop me in the ground is that they say, he was always there. He was always available. He always tried to help. With the idea, one of the first lessons I learned in sales, Brian, was that and an old mentor, pretty famous guy, said, if you look at any client as a commission check, you're screwing up. You've got to look at every client as somebody, how can you help them? And then your reward will be, one of the rewards will be you get a commission check. But so many people have that wrong. And by doing that, my heart changes. So success for me is being able to do that every day, all the time, because I know that if I help one person, it's like that one client I shared. They said, you helped change our family tree. That was a few years ago. It still makes the hair stand up on my arms, that you can have that kind of effect. And so I want everybody listening to understand, just by your attitude, just by what you say. When I work with executives, sometimes I'll say, what do you want said at your retirement party or at your eulogy? You want them to say, boy, he was a real ass. Or you want them to say, he always tried to do the right thing. So that's what success means to me.
That is amazing. Love it. And not one part of it was when I reach X amount of money. And that's what I've found. There is not one guest that's been on the show, Danny, that has been the core of their answer. One mentioned it, but it was really just the ends to a means of freedom and time freedom, so they could impact more lives. So it wasn't about money, ever. It never is. For those that have achieved success, for those that are just starting out, that are in more of a scarcity mindset, money means more, and it's more in the front of their mind, and that's okay. If you're there, no shame there. You have to be focused on money. It has to be part of the equation. As you succeed and it becomes less and less, and you're more of an abundance mindset, you'll realize that the real gold is in helping people and the reaction you get from that. And yeah, you get a gift of thank you and a trade of value where they will give you either money or trade of services. But really the wonderful part about entrepreneurship is seeing the face of the person whose life you've just changed. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Money's good, but I've always strive every day to see money as a reward.
Well, and the beautiful thing,
that is the goal. So
I hope the money and the wealth never stops coming to you, and it continues to grow exponentially, because I know just by talking to you now for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes total, that what you'll do with that is you will scale and you'll impact more lives.
Yep.
Because money just amplifies who you already are.
Yep.
And so if you're a big jerk, well, you're going to be a bigger jerk. I can tell Danny is not a big jerk. He's the opposite. He's like the male version of Mother Teresa with a lot of business acumen.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
I meant that totally positive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Now that you kind of reacted that way, like, yeah, maybe that did come off wrong. That's not what I meant, but okay.
I get it. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't ever want to come off that to say something that's not right. But anyway, appreciate you, brother. Man, we went over a good deal, and I appreciate those who stayed on with us to the end. For those of you listening on the podcast, my gosh, I hope you took a lot of notes. I hope you took a lot of notes watching this live, watching the recorded video on any of the 30,000 platforms we are now on. Yeah, I'm kidding a little bit, but there's a lot of them. Appreciate you, Danny. Oh, my goodness.
Brian, you are making a difference. You are making a difference. Let me lead with that, and thank you for the opportunity today. And thank you for everybody that's listened to this. I appreciate it.
This has been fun. But at some point, I have to cut the cord. I hate this part, but it has to be done in, out of respect for everyone's time, including yours, Danny. Appreciate you once again. For everyone here, this has been Mr. Danny Creed on the Mind Body Business Show. I'm your host, Brian Kelly, and I can't wait to see you again next week on another edition of the Mind Body Business Show. Until then, have a phenomenal evening and good night, everyone. Be blessed. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com.